So you might be thinking these do not look like hobby tools, and you'd be right. They are absolutely not hobby tools, but we're going to use them for our hobby. So we're going to be working on some magnet bases for Cthulhu Wars. So these bases are solid plastic, and we're going to try to install some magnets on these. So since they don't have a place to put them, and we don't want to stick them to the bottom so they're not wobbly on the board, we're going to drill holes. And I'm going to show you how to do that efficiently, because if you have Cthulhu Wars and you have a ton of minis, you don't want to be doing some guesswork. So the first thing I did was took a micrometer. This is a cheap one from Harbor Freight. You can get them probably cheaper on the internet. Just make sure you get one that's able to measure consistently. So I took my micrometer and measured at the thinnest point I could find, so that I can properly gauge the center of the mini, because I could go across here, but I'm going to hit the high spot. So I thought right here looked pretty good. And so we're at about 3.7 millimeters. My magnets are 1.5 by 6.5. So the next thing I did was go to the hardware store, and I picked up a 6.75 millimeter drill bit. And if you don't have the millimeters, because a lot of them didn't, you can use this in inches, or you can convert, of course, with Google. If you don't know how to do that, learn how to Google. Now, I got a tri-flat shank is what I got. And so if you don't know what that means that there's 3 flat spots on the shank. So you can see those. And that's so your drill can bite onto it. So what you want to do next is take your bit and slide it in all the way up to the shank. Don't go past it, because it'll cause the bit to bite up in here. You want it to bite on the shank, because that's going to allow you to adjust in and out a bit. And so we'll just run our drill up on the shank, and careful to get it on the flats. Tighten it down. Okay. And then we're going to take this dowel rod. So I got no idea what size this is. I just grabbed one that I thought looked about the right size for the common base I'm going to use. And it is. And so my thought was, I want to be able to do this and run the drill. So I'm going to hold the mini, run the drill up in there with it, and get my hole. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take our micrometer, or whatever measurement tool you have, and we're going to measure out on the bit our furthest distance here. And this is actually kind of our shortest distance, because we've got it to the max forward position, or as deep into the drill as it'll go on the shank. And so we're at about 83.7. So we're going to take that measurement and our drill, and we're going to run the drill in the center of the dowel rod, and we're going to run it in as far as it will go. If you start to bind, pull it out, clear it, keep going, and we're going to run it all the way up to the face of the drill. So just a second. Alright, so now we've got a hole in the end of our rod. It's not quite center, that's okay. You want to try to get it as center as possible, but as long as it's close, you're going to be okay. I would suggest using a drill with a level on it, then you can get it even more accurate. But just for show purposes, this is good enough. So now we're going to take our measurement here, 83.7. We're going to run that out on the dowel rod, and then we're going to cut it. Okay, so let's do that real quick. And since we measured and cut on the left side, you can see we don't have a hole on this end. So we'll just let our bit out a bit, push that hole the rest of the way through. Okay, and we got a good centered hole on that side. So now we can take our drill And you can see that is definitely going to be way too much bit. But since we adjusted on that shank, we can get our adjustment just right to, we're looking for 1.5 millimeters, which I think is probably about there. We'll loosen our bit a bit, let it slide in, lock it back on, and now we got a pretty good looking depth. Let's measure that real quick. And I think we're probably at about 1.9, which is going to work good for us because this is a round tip bit. If you can find a square tip bit, that's better, but the hardware store failed me. So, all right, that's looking better. Let's see what we get. I'm going to try to go centered on the mini, and then we're just going to run the drill. Boom, we've got us a magnet hole. So that's how you build a jig so that you can pop out a bunch of minis. I think it's going to work really good. Hey guys, so second part of the video here, I've got my jig going, and so you can see here, drill, got the jig that we built on there. I've got some of my minis, and we've got the magnets in from shipping now, and I just kind of wanted to demo how well this is going. I've got a whole slew of minis done already, and so just how fast you can pump out the holes, which is time consuming usually. So we're just gonna, let's run those real quick. Starting to get some plastic buildup, so I'm just gonna back it out, push through, and that'll clear it. There we go. So we just knocked out 6 holes in, I don't know, 30 seconds, something like that. So the magnets I got in the first half of the video, I said they're 1.5. That was the original plan. And I also said they were 6.5, which was not the original plan. They're actually 6x1 is what they are. So you can see those. It's a stack of 6x1s. Let's see if I can get it to focus. There we go. So I wanted to start off small, and I ordered a small amount because I thought maybe I might need 1.5 or 2s. But I thought if I got 1s, I could double them up if I needed to. And after putting the 1s on, flipping my metal tray, they all fell off. So 6x1 neodymium magnets are not strong enough. So I went ahead and ordered 2s, and I'm drilling at 2mm depth on our jig. And so let's just slap a couple of these in here. The magnets are really strong, and magnet to magnet is stronger than magnet to steel. And so what I've been doing is just a drop of Loctite gel in the rounded part of the hole that we drilled, because we had a round tip drill bit. So we've got a dip of glue in there, and then I'm just gonna take less magnets than this because it'll never come off that way. So I've just been taking a few magnets, slide it in there, and then peel it off even. Been working pretty good. Maybe. There we go. Okay, so press it down in there, kind of move it around so that any of it that can ooze will ooze. And then we let it set up. That one's actually not sitting in there very good. Let's push. There we go. We'll go ahead and do a few of these here just so you can get a feel. You can also, if you like sticking your fingernails in between the magnets, you can peel off 2 of them. Don't get it close to the main body of the magnets because it will fly over there. You can use the glue also to kind of adjust the height a little bit if you've done your hole a bit too deep. But what I'm finding is if they're flush or even in set just a little bit, they seem to be working pretty good. Make sure you don't set them down next to each other. They'll shoot out of each other. And just to prove I'm not lying, they will jump over there. So I think 2mm is the right size for this size mini, 6x2. And of course, the bigger diameter, presumably the less thickness you need. But I'm going 6x2 because I like the setup we've got, and I've got quite a few holes drilled already, and I'm liking how 6x2 is feeling in the box. So we'll stick with that. I did do a couple of bigger minis. They take more magnets, obviously. Bigger base with not a lot more weight. I found that 2 sets of 2mm magnets were working pretty good. I think for some of my bigger minis, I'm probably going to have to go with a different setup altogether, probably bigger in diameter and thickness, just to make sure that they're not toppling over. And that's assuming I can find a box to actually put them in. So I'll finish up these 2, and then I'll show you the Plano box that I've got. I saw a really great post about using jewelry trays, and that was my original plan. But I have Plano boxes laying around. I have Plano boxes readily available in my area, and I have Plano bags to carry the Plano boxes from another game that I played that we used those as storage. And so really, for my particular situation, the jewelry bags were just a really expensive investment to get what I've already got. So we got all those done. Let's go ahead and cap our glue here, and I'll grab the box that these are going to go in, and you can see how it works. Maybe. Here it is. Okay, so what we did, let's slide over here. Oh, battery, don't die on us. Okay, there we go. So I've got the Plano box. This is 14-inch by 9.13 by 3.25. They have them in 5-inch, 1-inch. This is the 3700 series Plano. And then we'll throw that in the floor with all the junk. And then I've trimmed just a piece of sheet metal that I purchased at Menards. So I trimmed that to fit. I'm going to work on this design a little bit. They have ridges in the bottom, so it doesn't sit flat. So I think there's going to be some rattle. I might do some sound deadening in that, but we'll refine that as we go. So here's the minis, and you can see they are sticking really well. Let's look here. Here is one of the 1 magnet minis, and he's stuck, but there you go. So these guys are all set with 2 of the 6x1s, depending on how deep you get them. So most of them are flush, but this one you can see it's got just a bit raised. It doesn't make a difference on the table, really, I found, as long as it's not sticking out too far, but they get a lot better contact. So if you're okay with them sticking out, which I'm not, you can go with that. And then this guy, of course, he doesn't weigh much more, but he's bigger, and so he's got 4 magnets in him. And I mean, I'm not going to do anything more than that with them, so I think I'm happy. It's got a lid that'll close up on it, and it holds a boatload of them. I think, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 minis across of this size, and I think it was, let's see, there was 8, I think it was 16 rows of that many, of 8 minis, so you can hold a ton of them. So 120, 115, I think is what we counted the last time, so it kind of depends on what sizes you're putting in there, but really great. All right, guys, I hope you enjoy. Hey, guys, so the last piece of this video, this is the 3rd part, I think. I just wanted to show off our final product. So what we got was 109 Cthulhu War cultists into a single case. So this is our cultists, and here's our base size. There's our magnet in there. I know, shame on me, they're not painted yet. We'll get there. So let's just look and see. These are 25mm bases, for those of you that aren't doing Cthulhu Wars like this and doing some other game. So 25mm bases. The final count in this box is 109. So we've got 9 factions, 12 units apiece, 1 extra green one that came in some magazine or something. And here you go. And as you can see, they're in there pretty good. I'm not going to violently shake them, but I mean, realistically, they're going to be doing something along these lines. Probably not upside down ever, but they're in. I'll go ahead and close the lid, and there we go.